The iron gates screamed open. A blast of hot wind tore through the corridor, sweeping ash across the cracked stone floor. The crowd above roared, millions of voices layered into a single beast howling for blood. John Calder squinted against the sudden glare as he was shoved forward, boots scraping into the arena's scorched sand. He didn't stumble. His frame, though weathered, remained unnaturally still. He wore a patch over his left eye, worn leather, faded stitching. His long coat clung to him like molted skin, singed at the edges, streaked with soot. Around him, the arena's monolithic walls loomed high, adorned with relics from fallen champions, rusted blades, broken helmets, and bones bleached under alien suns. A voice boomed from the platform overhead. From the forgotten world of Earth, a relic! A broken ghost from a dead system. Will he bleed like the rest? Laughter exploded across the stands. The announcer's voice, laced with malice, echoed through the domed chamber. John stood in silence, his breathing slow, unshaken. From the observation deck, Commander Varkaz leaned on the rail, exo-armor glinting under the arena lights. His eyes, two pale slits behind a translucent visor, narrowed. He volunteered? Varkaz scoffed. No, he insisted. Either he's mad, or suicidal. Beside him, a smaller figure adjusted her cloak. Dr. Kira Thorne, Earth's last diplomatic envoy to the outer colonies, kept her voice low. He's neither. That man's a storm you forgot you seeded. And now it's rolling back. Varkaz laughed, mechanical and hollow. We dragged him out of a hospice. He's not a soldier, he's dust. Below, the arena rumbled. A metal gate at the far end groaned, then burst open. From the darkness emerged a Zarnite Mauler, 10 feet tall, triple-jointed limbs twitching with anticipation. Acid hissed between its mandibles as it sniffed the air, its Vision Zero eyes locking onto the motionless man in the sand. The crowd fell into breathless silence. John exhaled once, then reached up and removed his patch. His left eye wasn't human. The iris blinked crimson, adjusting its lens with a faint whir. Targeting arcs painted themselves across his vision, reading every twitch of the Mauler's muscle fibers, mapping the arena's contours, calculating every probability in real time. The Mauler pounced. John sidestepped once. The movement was too fast, too deliberate. The beast slammed into the wall, disoriented. John twisted, grabbed a loose fragment of piping from the ground, and drove it between the creature's secondary lungs before it could scream. It dropped. Dead silence followed. 1 second passed. Then another. Then the crowd erupted into chaos. Varkaz rose, incredulous. That's impossible, he growled. The Mauler shredded an armored squad last cycle. Kira's expression remained unchanged. You wanted a show. You're getting a legend. Down in the pit, John rotated his shoulder, then bent down to retrieve the patch. He didn't put it back on. Instead, he walked toward the beast's corpse, pried a serrated fang loose, and stood waiting, watching the next gate. His breathing was still steady. The spectators had stopped laughing. Above, data feeds crackled on the command deck. AI sensors flickered, stuttering between danger-level calibrations. A technician squinted at the readout. Sir, his profile isn't in any database. Facial recognition's throwing a ghost clearance flag. Varkaz turned sharply. Ghost? That program was terminated 20 cycles ago. Apparently not, Kira said softly. Earth doesn't send armies anymore. It sends ghosts. John's eye narrowed. His attention flicked toward the upper deck, where he knew they watched. The arena floor vibrated again. This time, heavier footsteps echoed behind the far gate. Steel doors hissed, then split open. 6 mercenaries stepped forward. Heavily armed. Exosuits powered. Weapons prepped. But one of them paused, eyes widening. Recognition etched itself into his face. He whispered to the man beside him. It's him. The Wraith of Vyrek. The butcher from Atros Field. John twirled the fang once, then pointed it toward them. You wanted a show, he said, voice gravel dragged through steel. I'm not done dancing. The 6 mercenaries hesitated at the threshold. Steam hissed from their exosuits, the acrid scent of coolant mingling with the metallic tang of blood. John Calder stood alone in the center of the sandpit, a jagged Zarnite fang clenched loosely in one hand, its curved point dripping acid from the mollar's ruptured gland. He didn't move. But his eye, red and unblinking, tracked every micro-shift in their posture. That's him, one of the mercs muttered. The butcher from Atros Field. He shouldn't be breathing. His partner spat. You believe ghost stories? The reply was a whisper of dread. That is the ghost. Above, Commander Varkas watched, lips curled in disbelief. His fingers tightened around the steel railing. Send them in. If they freeze, shoot them yourselves. The mercs advanced. John inhaled, long and measured. He let his heartbeat guide the rhythm of his breath. 3 steps forward. 2 degrees right. His eye twitched, recalibrating. Data surged, muscle tension, suit diagnostics, gait instability, eye movement, tells of uncertainty, adrenaline, ego. They never fought a ghost before. The first charged. John pivoted, fluid as mercury, and slashed the fang upward. The blade skimmed under the man's helmet seal, severing the carotid artery in one clean stroke. Blood jetted in a perfect arc as the body collapsed, twitching. Panic rippled through the remaining 5. Flank him! One shouted, voice cracking. John ducked beneath a plasma bolt, rolled low, and drove his elbow into the second man's knee joint. Metal cracked. A scream. John wrenched the merc's rifle free and turned it on the others. 2 dropped before they could aim. The weapon hissed and died, drained. The arena was painted in silence. Only 2 remained now, one paralyzed, the other backing toward the gate. John tossed the useless rifle aside. His voice was low, even. Drop it. The last merc froze. You were under me once, John continued. Your gait gives you away. You trained on Mars for 4th Battalion. Left foot always drags a quarter second late. Bad terrain instructor. The man swallowed hard. You remember me? John nodded. You ran recon drills with a woman named Isla. She died pulling you out of a crater near Hades' outpost. You froze. You still freeze. Shame colored the soldier's face. I didn't know it was you. They said you were wiped. That the program was deleted. John stepped closer. His voice didn't rise. Programs don't bleed. I did. I do. Above them, Kira leaned forward, watching every motion. Her comlink buzzed in her ear. He's turning one of them. The tech beside her looked pale. His eye just accessed the arena core network. How's that possible? Kira's smile was almost imperceptible. They gave the ghosts root access to anything built after Cycle 12. You never know where war ends. Back in the pit, John nodded toward the surrendered merc. What's your name? Lieutenant Harlan. He paused, uncertain. I don't know what I'm doing here anymore. John nodded once. Then follow someone who does. He gestured subtly, and Harlan moved to his side. The final merc, the one still stunned, dropped his weapon and fell to his knees, trembling. John turned his attention to the arena walls. His voice was now aimed higher. Varkas. The name cut through the chaos like a blade. You dragged me here to die for entertainment. But I came to remind you what war really costs. Varkas' hand hovered over the kill switch. You're bluffing. This whole act. A sudden system ping interrupted him. The arena lights flickered. A red warning blinked to life across every screen. External command protocol accepted. What is this? Varkas barked. Kira's voice chimed through the intercom, calm and clinical. Reaper has engaged Ghost Protocol. The arena's now under his control. Varkas turned to the tech. Shut it down! I can't. He's deep inside the core OS. It's like he's part of the infrastructure. Below, John turned, lifting his head toward the skybox. You built this place on blood and broadcast it across the colonies. Time to show the rest what your empire really looks like. The walls shifted. Holograms crackled to life around the arena, projecting real-time feeds to a dozen planetary systems. Files decrypted and played, footage of prisoners chained in cells, mercenaries beating non-combatants, backroom deals for slave labor, all streamed live. Panic exploded through the command deck. Cut the uplink! Now! We can't! He's everywhere! The crowd, once bloodthirsty, now screamed in confusion. Some fled. Others watched in stunned silence as the screen above the arena flashed one final message. This is what you cheered for. Back on the floor, John turned to Harlan. You want redemption? The young man nodded. Then help me find her. The diplomat they took. Kira Thorne. Harlan stiffened. She's here? John's jaw clenched. They used her as bait. Above, alarms howled. Varkas slammed a fist on the console. Seal the floors. Gas them. Bring this old bastard down. But it was already too late. The arena no longer belonged to Varkas. It belonged to the ghost who never died. The corridors beneath the arena pulsed red with emergency lights. Sirens bleated like mechanical wails, echoing off cold steel. John moved like a shadow through the chaos, the stolen access badge flickering on his wrist. Behind him, Harlan kept pace, his exosuit now stripped of mercenary colors. Security's gone blind, Harlan muttered, checking his wrist pad. Whatever you did to the grid, it's ripping their firewall apart. Didn't do anything, John replied, voice gravel rough. I just reminded the system who built it. They reached a sealed blast door, slick with condensation from the arena's cooling systems. Beyond it, cell block D, where Kira was rumored to be held. A hiss of gas escaped a vent overhead, nothing toxic yet, but that would change. Varkas wouldn't hesitate to flood the tunnels with nerve agents. John placed his palm against the scanner. Access granted? The door split open. Inside, the light was dim, casting elongated shadows across the walls. Empty cells lined either side, doors ajar, chains dangling, silence thicker than fog. Then, a faint click. Harlan spun. Movement. John raised a hand, signaling him to wait. From the far end of the hallway, a figure emerged, unsteady, limping. Her diplomat cloak was tattered, face bruised, but her eyes were sharp. You took your time, Kira said dryly. John stepped forward without hesitation. You walked out. That means you're still Kira. She managed a smile. And you're still late. Harlan moved to check the hallway behind them. We need to move. They'll regroup. Already are, John replied. This isn't an escape. It's a statement. Kira blinked. You're going after Varkas? No, John said. I'm going to end Varkas. Suddenly, the floor trembled. A grinding noise echoed from above, mechanized thunder. They're dropping the wardens, Harlan whispered. He's that desperate? What are wardens? Kira asked. John's face darkened. Experimental suits. Exo-chassis bonded to neural lattices, half machine, half mind. Built to kill without conscience. Built to kill me. The lights flickered again. This time, something heavier followed, a thud. Then another. Footsteps, too regular to be human. Kira steadied herself. 3 exits marked on the schematic. John shook his head. All traps. Only one path left. He turned, ducked into a narrow maintenance shaft, and motioned them in. The crawl space reeked of coolant and old blood. Pipes hissed beside them. Kira dragged herself forward, breathing shallowly. Why did you come alone? She asked over her shoulder. Because ghosts don't call for backup, John said. We are the backup. They reached a service grate and peered through. Below, the command center, an armored hub humming with servers, screens, and a half-dozen wardens guarding Varkas' throne-like chair. He was calm, sipping dark liquor from a crystal flask. We'll never make it across that floor, Harlan whispered. I won't need to, John replied. He accessed the panel beside the grate. His eye flickered, decrypting faster than the system could respond. He located a dormant pulse turret in the ceiling above the control room, forgotten, buried in legacy code. Old systems talk to old soldiers. He tapped a final key. A sudden thunk reverberated above Varka's command deck. The pulse turret dropped from the ceiling and unleashed a concussive blast. Chaos erupted. Warden staggered. Lights blew out. John kicked through the grate and dropped like a stone, landing with military precision. Varka stood slowly, unfazed. "You just don't quit." "No," John said, drawing the Fong from his belt. "I finish." They clashed. The warlord's exosuit gave him speed, power, reach. John had none of that. But he had experience. He slipped past strikes, used Varka's own mass against him, twisted and countered with relentless precision. Sparks lit the room. Blood hit the floor. Each move John made was clinical. Not rage. Not vengeance. Closure. "You sold out the Ghost program," John hissed, blade grazing armor. "You erased my team." Varkas laughed, even as he bled. "They were obsolete. You can't win wars with myths." John twisted the blade free and buried it between the suit's power coils. "Then why are you dying to one?" The suit convulsed. Power blinked. Varkas fell, his voice cut short by the collapse. Silence. Kira and Harlan entered behind him. Sirens still screamed outside, but in this room, time had frozen. "Is it over?" Kira asked. John looked down at Varka's lifeless shell. "No. But the lie ends here." He accessed the terminal, broadcasting one final signal. Every screen in the arena lit up with one phrase. The ghosts were never dead. Then the floor shook again, harder this time. "That wasn't us," Harlan said. John turned sharply. "That was a detonation." Kira's eyes widened. "They're collapsing the moon. Wiping it clean." John's face hardened. "Then we leave nothing behind, except truth." The floor beneath the command center groaned, deep and guttural, like the planet itself had begun to exhale. John's gaze snapped to the flickering schematics on the wall. Red alerts flashed across every corridor, pressure drops, vented bulkheads, systems failing in succession. Somewhere deep below, explosive charges had gone off in sequence, set not by sabotage, but by protocol. The moon was dying. "They rigged the foundation," Harlan breathed, scanning the collapsing grid. "Failsafe built into the core. If they lose control, detonate the entire base." Kira steadied herself against the console. Her voice, though strained, was steady. "How long?" 10 minutes, max," John said, already moving. "Pressure domes are compromised. Once the crust fractures, it's a tomb." He grabbed a nearby uplink drive from the console and pocketed it. "We've got the data. The truth's out there now. But we're not dying here." They sprinted through the flickering corridor, air growing heavier with chemical smoke. Red emergency lights pulsed like a war drum. Each turn brought a new hazard, sparking panels, floor collapses, shifting bulkheads. Behind them, the command center imploded, sucked downward into flame and dust. "Extraction point?" Kira asked, dodging a collapsing beam. "Hangar Bay 7. Unsecured pad. If the AI is still running, I can hijack launch clearance." "Big if," Harlan muttered, voice tight. They reached a vertical shaft, its lift systems disabled. John eyed the ladder. "Rusted. Fragile. We climb." They ascended fast, lungs burning from recycled oxygen. Halfway up, a tremor jolted the shaft. Below, the floor cracked and vanished into a roaring chasm of fire. John didn't look down. He didn't need to. At the top, he kicked out a service grate and helped Kira through. The hangar stretched ahead, abandoned ships, scattered crates, shattered hulls from earlier riots. But one vessel still shimmered with power, a stolen Terran courier, sleek and agile. "Yours?" Kira asked, breathless. "Was," John said. "Guess I'm borrowing it again." He approached the ramp, typing rapidly on a wrist module. The ship's eye greeted him in a static-laced voice. Welcome back, Ghost Unit 07. Launch override initiated. Still remembers me, John said. Inside, lights flickered to life. The trio filed in. John dropped into the pilot's seat and began ignition while Kira and Harlan sealed the hatch. From the viewport, the hangar floor had started to crack, magma spilling into fractured seams. Strap in, he ordered. She's fast but temperamental. The ship lurched upward, narrowly clearing a collapsing girder as the hangar detonated below. The viewport was awash of flame, pressure, debris, then suddenly stars. They pierced the atmosphere seconds before it collapsed. From orbit, the crater moon of Caelrix crumbled. John watched silently as the surface folded inward, buildings swallowed by molten fire, and finally, silence. All those lives, Kira whispered. Slaves. Fighters. Scientists. Gone. John tightened his jaw. And now everyone knows why. He accessed the uplink drive, transmitting the files to every system on the Terran diplomatic network. Footage. Audio logs. Varka's recorded confessions. The entertainment feeds turned to horror reels. Every major hub from Hesper Prime to Delos 4 received the data. They'll come for you, Harlan said. You just nuked a Merc Empire. John leaned back. They already did. Kira placed a hand on his shoulder. You're not just a soldier anymore, John. You're a symbol now. People saw the truth. The ghosts weren't monsters, they were warnings. John didn't answer. His red eye dimmed slightly, scanning the aftermath. For the first time in years, there was no immediate enemy. Just silence. You going back underground? Kira asked gently. He exhaled slowly, watching the molten husk of the moon fade into black space. I'm going forward. Ghosts don't haunt ruins. We haunt the powerful. He stood and walked toward the rear hold, where the emergency gear was stored. Behind him, Kira and Harlan sat in silence, processing everything that had unraveled in a matter of hours. The galaxy had changed. One dead moon. One forgotten soldier. A signal broadcast from Fire. Back at the pilot's console, the navigation panel chimed. Incoming message encrypted. Origin, Earth Command. Kira raised an eyebrow. Didn't they shut that system down? John gave the faintest of smiles. Apparently not for me. The message played, a voice, filtered and official. John Calder. CALLSIGN REAPER. Stand by for extraction and debrief. We are activating the Ghost Division. Your status is no longer dormant. Harlan leaned forward, stunned. They're bringing it back? John slipped the patch back over his eye and turned to face them. No. They're admitting it never left. The ship vanished into the dark, engines low and steady, carrying the last ghost not into hiding, but into history.